Very serious, incriminating admissions surfaced today on Capitol Hill as Donald Trump's top military officials and top cabinet members sat under oath and were cross-examined by the United States Senate and the House of Representatives. Let me show you what went down as these incriminating admissions surfaced. You had Donald Trump's commander of CENTCOM, Brad Cooper, testifying. He was cross-examined in the United States Senate. Democratic Senator Gillibrand cross-examined him about the war crimes being committed in Iran. She asked about the status of the investigation of Trump's war crimes blowing up an elementary school in Manab and the numerous other instances that have been documented of Trump war crimes in Iran, blowing up other schools and hospitals. Now, Brad Cooper, the commander of CENTCOM, said, "We are unaware of any other incidents and none are currently being investigated," to which Gillibrand said, "Wait a minute. So you're not even conducting investigations, and that's why you're saying that these incidents aren't taking place?" Watch this, I think, Perry Mason mic drop moment for yourself. Play this clip.
Have you been implementing all the laws that are required under current law to minimize civilian death?
Senator, we have executed every operation consistent with the law of armed conflict. The subject of civilian casualties is a particular passion of mine. We pay attention to it. We follow all the procedures and have gone above and beyond to, in my case, personally warn the Iranian people of several instances during conflict where they were being potentially used as human targets.
If they've been warned, how did we then bomb 22 schools?
There's no indication that we have that has been corroborated.
How many schools have we bombed?
There is one active civilian casualty investigation from the 13,629 munitions.
So how do you explain the publicly available information that 22 schools have been hit and multiple hospitals?
There's no way that we can corroborate that. No indication of that whatsoever, Senator.
There's no way you can corroborate or no indication of it? Which one?
No indication.
Well, the indication is what's publicly available. There is indication. Have you investigated those claims?
We have not.
Why have you not? If this is a passion of yours, if you believe that the civilian casualties are not consistent with the law of war and not consistent with human rights obligations that our military regularly follows with great pride and great diligence, why have you not investigated those allegations when they're publicly being made on the cover of the New York Times?
I'll be happy to take a look at each instance.
I would like a report.
Will be able to do that.
I would like a report from you, from your team, about whether there have been attacks that have resulted in the destruction of schools and hospitals. And if so, why? And how then last have you managed the 90% cut to the personnel who are supposed to avoid civilian targets?
Happy to provide any report, and I would invite you and every staff member here to come to Tampa to look at the process to see exactly how it works.
Thank you. Thank you, Admiral.
Then you had Senator Gillibrand cross-examining Scott Turner. Scott Turner is Donald Trump's Housing and Urban Development Secretary, and he continues to blame everything on former President Biden. Gillibrand had enough of this. I just want to show you this moment first where Gillibrand's just like, enough. Here, play this clip.
Irregardless of all of that, during the Biden administration, record funding.
Oh my God. If you talk about, it's like
record funding.
It's like two children saying, I didn't do it, my brother did it.
That's
Stop
what I have
with
to
the
go
excuses.
That's
just
what I have to go off
explain
record funding.
Your record.
Let me just show you a longer part of that exchange where Gillibrand is asking very serious questions. Okay, if you, Scott Turner, Trump regime, have an approach that's better than former President Biden, tell us what you're doing when it comes to housing that's better. I know you just want to criticize Biden with everything, but if you have a better plan, tell us about that so we can assess it. So what's your plan? Biden. She's like, enough. Stop with the Biden. Tell me your plan. What are you doing? What do you stand for? Here, play this clip.
And what I will say, and I offer this, is number one, the point in time report in the Biden administration HUD said that we had 770,000 people in America that were homeless at one given time. And this is with record funding. So we have record funding, but yet we have an increase in
right. So
street
what
homelessness.
is your record?
Yes,
You've
ma'am.
had this job for well over a year. I just want to know, did you get the number down? Do we have 700,000 homeless still? Or is it 1 million or 1.5 million? So I get you want to do things differently.
Indeed.
And this committee will support you as long as the goals are good.
Okay,
but
good.
where's the results? The report is delayed over a year. Over a year.
Can I offer this to you?
Yes, but we
Can I
have no,
offer this
I
to
just
you?
don't want to hear about what you don't like about the Biden administration.
Good.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
You have a vision. Let's see it. Let's
Good.
see the results.
And you know what I do? I thank God that I'm in charge so we can do stuff different. Because the plays that were ran before I got here, they failed. I've been here. Let me speak, if you will. I got here. You said I have been here a little bit over a year. But you all had, during the Biden administration, 4 years.
Stop talking about Biden.
Funding.
Talk about
It's
your record.
Funding.
This is
and
so,
homelessness
this is so,
went up.
this
If
is
I may,
so inaccurate,
Ranking Member Jill
unhelpful, and doesn't let this committee do our
Madam
job.
Chair, if I may, the point in time report would be out by now if we did not have an unprecedented government shutdown. It would be out by now. If we weren't in constant litigation, it would be out by now. HUD has a great forum. We have a great team, and we move very expeditiously.
In what way
But
does
during we
litigation?
could not work
Okay,
during
Mr.
the government
Secretary,
shutdown.
I think you're obfuscating.
I'm not
What way
obfuscating. I'm just
does
stating the
litigation
facts. I'm
slow
stating the
down your
facts.
report?
A government shutdown helps us to not be able to work. It was a
Oh, I
government
get
shutdown.
that. But tell me about the litigation.
The point in time report would be out right now if we did not have a government shutdown. Irregardless of all of that, during the Biden administration, record funding.
Oh my God. If you talk about,
record funding.
it's like two
record
children saying,
homelessness.
I didn't do it. My brother did it.
That's
Stop
what I have
with
to
the
go off of.
excuses.
That's
Just
what I have to go off of.
explain
Record funding.
your record.
Record homelessness. We have to do something different.
Okay, switch topic.
If after I'm gone,
Switch topic.
if
Honestly,
after I'm gone, if it's still record
I don't
funding
want
and record
you know what?
homelessness,
After
then
you're
you'll be able
gone
to the
is
same
too
thing.
late for
But
the
it is-
families that are suffering in New York today.
it's gonna
Do you
get
know what
better.
it's like
It's
to
gonna
be a
get
homeless
better.
little girl who has to have a Girl Scout troop just for other homeless little girls because that's all they have?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
the only consistency they have in their life. So I get
I
you
do
have
understand.
a different vision.
It's happened in my family. Yes, ma'am, I do
I
understand.
need to know
I'm not
if your
talking to you
stuff
about
is
what
working.
I've heard. I'm talking to you about what I know. And what I do know, the housing first model failed.
Similar questioning from Democratic Senator Patty Murray. She's saying, okay, look, your plan as we read it, your budget rather, cuts housing, significant amounts of cuts to housing. So if we're cutting it, what's your plan to build the housing that we need, affordable housing? Biden. And she's like, stop with the Biden. What are you doing? Watch what goes down. Here, play this clip.
With all due respect, the president is clear on what he wants to do. My job is to run HUD and
Yeah,
to take down the
I understand
regulatory
that.
environment, which I hear from the industry experts as I travel. The regulations and the regulatory environment are crippling building in our country.
You have a different view than I do, and I just want you to know that if we use that money for housing, we could build 1.1 million affordable housing units. That is a huge dent in the 7 million units of housing that you yourself say that our country needs. But your budget actually cuts housing. So let me ask it a different way. Can you help more families with housing with 84 billion or with 73.5 billion?
Here's what I'll say. Here's what I say. In the previous years before we got here, housing affordability
Well, okay.
was
this
not
is
at an
the
all-time
go-to
high.
answer
Mortgage
for
rate,
every
it's not a
secretary is
go-to.
go back to
As a
Biden.
secretary,
And
I'm just
asking
giving you the
about
facts.
your
Mortgage rates were up,
administration, sir.
interest rates were up, inflation was up, regulatory environment was crippling. It doesn't matter the administration. These are the facts, ma'am. And so I'm dealing with these facts now
It's a go-to answer
to
for every
bring
secretary.
mortgage
I'm asking
rates
you
down,
about your
interest rates down,
administration.
and build affordable
I'm asking
housing.
you about what you could do
Yes, ma'am.
with this housing and how we address the number one issue facing many of my constituents and many people in the country. And the answer is you could do a lot more work and help families with housing with funding that went to housing and not $1.5 trillion for a war. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Senator Kavanaugh.
Now I'll show you where Democratic Congress member Maxwell Frost flusters Trump's ATF director with some basic questioning. And I love this line of questioning by Frost because he doesn't let ATF director Cicada just get away with it. He goes, answer the question. Answer the question. We know the corruption. Answer the question. Here, play this clip.
Did you agree to enact any of these regulations in your discussions?
Say that again?
Did you agree to enact any of these regulations in your discussions before you were nominated?
Well, first off, these are proposals.
It's just yes or no, sir.
Well, sir, sorry, that doesn't answer the question.
It does answer the questions. Did you agree to enact any of these regulations or put forth these rules or proposals? I know how the process works, Director.
Sir, you don't actually.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. Did you agree to put forth these proposals for rule changes while you were having discussions about your possible promotion? Yes or no? That's it.
The answer is not going to be yes or no. So the answer is they're proposals, not enacted rules. And yes,
they're proposed rules, yes. Were they discussed while you were talking about your promotion? Yes or no?
Sir, this has nothing to do with my.
Sir, I answer the questions. You answer the questions, sir. I'm just asking.
I'm not going to answer yes or no to a question that can't be answered yes or no. Sorry.
Why can't it be answered yes or no?
Because you're intentionally trying to argue with me here about something that you're completely wrong on. First of all, the regulations are not finalized.
I know. I'm saying proposed
no, you don't know,
rules.
because you keep telling me they're enacted, and they're not enacted.
Proposed rules.
You keep mixing the
Proposed
words up
rules. Were those discussed while you were talking about the possible promotion? Yes or no?
They were discussed with no guarantee of any sort of promotion. As you know, the Senate gets to make a decision that I'm not involved in.
Yeah. So in your discussions with folks in the administration about your possible promotion, the proposed rules were discussed with them. You're saying yes.
Of course they were. I've told you that
thank you.
Times.
That's all I wanted. Were you promoted? Do you believe you were promoted to do that, to put forth this package of 30 different proposals?
This is not going to be a yes or no answer either. So, sir, I could have retired in November. I didn't need a promotion.
I understand. I'll take my time back. I know you could have retired in November. You've been at the ATF for a long time. You've done great work. I'm just concerned about the fact that on the same day as your confirmation,
I understand,
you move forth with a package of over 30 changes, giving the public, how many days does the public get?
90.
90 days for a huge package of 30 different things that you, I know for a fact, helped work on. Did you not?
I read every one of them. Yes, sir.
No. I'm saying you worked on, let me be clear, you worked on a lot of these proposed rules that were enacted by the ATF under the Biden administration that helped save lives, yes?
So a couple things.
No, it's just yes or no. Did you work on some?
Sorry, it's not yes or no.
It is yes or no. Did you work on some of the rules that the Biden administration put forth to help save lives?
No.
You did it?
No.
You're saying you didn't, under oath, that you didn't work on any of them. I'm sorry?
I didn't work on any of the rules. Not one.
I don't believe that's true.
That's great.
I don't believe that's true. In fact, I know for a fact that you worked on some of the rules under the Biden administration that helped save lives.
Then you had Democratic Congress member Kassar going to the House of Representatives here, cross-examining Linda McMahon, Donald Trump's education secretary, about all of these cuts she's made to education. Well, at the same time, Donald Trump and his regime are spending $1 billion to fund his ballroom of taxpayer dollars. Play this clip.
Can you tell me how much more or less it costs to give a child free lunch at a public school?
Well, the Department of Education does not control. That's not part of our budget.
I know, but when the USDA does that funding, it's about $4.60 for a school lunch. Do you know about how much the average school teacher makes at a public school per year?
That varies across different states. It can be anywhere from 40-some thousand to 90-some thousand.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's about $64,000 on average nationwide. So here's an easy one because it's all over the news. Can you tell us how much Congress is being asked to vote on next week for President Trump's ballroom?
I don't know that answer.
It's $1 billion. And you're a businesswoman, so I'm hoping you can help me do some math here. $4.60 for a school lunch, $1 billion for a ballroom. Can you tell me about how many free school lunches that $1 billion could pay for?
It is my understanding on the ballroom, excuse me, and I've heard the president say this, the taxpayer dollars will not be used to build the ballroom, that they are donations from private enterprise.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll have entered into the record some Republicans, this article from NBC yesterday, some Republicans aren't sold on $1 billion price tag for Trump's ballroom project in party line GOP bill.
Without objection.
We are voting on $1 billion in taxpayer dollars in addition to those private donations. And so for those $1 billion in taxpayer dollars at $4.60 a lunch, that is 217,391,304 lunches. That's lunch for more than 1 million kids, 1 million Americans for the entire school year. But let's say that we're not going to talk about lunches because that's USDA. We can talk about teachers. At $64,000 a year, do we know how many new teachers we could hire if we sent $1 billion out to the states for reducing class sizes and hiring more teachers?
I'm sure you have that number.
Yes, it is 15,000 more teachers. Or we could pay for the Office of Civil Rights that's being cut in this budget 7 times over. I think you get the point. So here's my real question here. As Secretary of Education, which do you think helps our nation more? Getting free lunch to more than 1 million more kids, 15,000 more teachers, or the ballroom?
I think those are incredibly weird comparisons.
Let me share with you the moment where Democratic Congress member Takano was cross-examining McMahon on all of the cuts that DOJ made to the Office of Civil Rights and other critical departments or divisions within the Department of Education, only to then have to rehire everybody when they realized that these jobs were needed. But it really just kind of crippled the Department of Education. Play this clip.
Expensive. Over half of your staff was fired by that DOJ decision, but you didn't stand up to that DOJ decision, did you? You came into office unprepared and didn't know the importance of OCR, did you?
Oh, no, I know the importance of OCR.
Okay, then why did it take you 10 months? Madam Secretary, if you knew the importance, why did it take you 10 months to figure out and say, hey, I need these people back? In the first Trump administration, 1,200 cases were resolved. And in your first year, only 112. That's a lot of kids out there unprotected by the Secretary of Education. As a matter of fact, it cost taxpayers $38 million to pay for these OCR employees that you put on administrative leave for 10 months, or you failed to say, bring them back. You didn't rescind this decision until 10 months later. You told senators that you were bringing back staff. So you are bringing back staff, right?
Yes, we are rehiring attorneys, and we have already addressed now 4,000 of cases at OCR because during the Trump
Madam Secretary, those resolved 4,000 cases are not resolution agreements, are they?
Part of them are.
Only 112 this past year.
Well, in the last...
It's a lot different than 4,000. You're trying to confuse the matter. 4,000, you're talking maybe dismissals, case dismissals.
Well, in total, we have addressed 4,000
Okay, let's get back to it's 112.
Well,
Madam Secretary...
I'll tell you one of the reasons
Madam Secretary, here's my thing. The president budget, there's the whole thing with Chris Murphy are you disagreeing with the president? You're here to testify on the budget. Are you disagreeing with the president's budget, which cuts OCR even more?
The budget that we submitted is a floor.
It cuts OCR even more, doesn't it?
It is a floor for hiring. We want to increase those numbers, but the
president's budget cuts OCR even more, doesn't it?
It is a reduced amount for it because it is a floor of hiring.
Madam Secretary, I'll ask you the question again. Does the president's budget raise the budget for OCR, keep it even, or does it lower the budget for OCR staff?
I'll repeat what I said.
Madam Secretary, you had a week since the Senate Help Committee hearing to figure this out from when your question was Senator Murphy. You couldn't answer his question. I'm asking you a similar question. Is the president's budget you're submitting, have they lowered the FTEs for OCR staff?
I've just answered that, but you must.
No, you did not. You're not answering the question. Is it lowered? Look, I have the budget right here. The budget says they're cutting the FTEs. Are you disagreeing with this?
The gentleman's time has
expired. Are you going to allow me to answer? The minute
you haven't
I try to
answered
answer,
yet.
you can.
And we heard from Democratic Congress member Courtney grilling McMahon on increasing education costs for nurses. We know that the Trump regime has attacked nurses, has called nurses not professionals, has said a nursing degree is not a professional degree, just assault after assault on nurses. And watch what McMahon says. Let's play it.
It's actually $80,000 for a 3-year program. So again, just the tuition for that program exceeds the caps that you put into place with this HR1 rule. So for those students, they are really going to have no opportunity unless they come from families of great wealth, except to go out and try and find loans in the private market where interest rates are higher and the underwriting process is going to disqualify some people. We have a nursing shortage in this country. And as ANA pointed out, this rule is actually going to undermine and damage the ability of this country to actually educate and bring online nurses that, again, in the numbers of hundreds of thousands are open and needed at this critical time. So based on your experience, which again is right local for you, where the tuition of the university that you sat on the board of trustees exceeds the lending caps that you put into place, what do you say to those nurses who asked for your consideration during the comment period that you brushed aside?
Well, first of all, and thank you for bringing that up so we can address it. I do think that nurses are incredibly respected professions.
Well, your rule certainly doesn't show that.
Well, let me just address this issue. You know, we looked very, very carefully at the entire nursing profession. 95% of the nurses that are in programs do not exceed these caps. 78% of the nurses that are moving for graduate programs do not exceed or come up to these caps. We were very carefully looking at the cost of these programs across the country. There are outliers. There are programs which they cost more, but you can get your degrees in many universities around the country that don't come close to charging these amounts. And our goal, I have to disagree with your framing of this whole situation, because our goal is to bring down the cost of higher education. And since we've put in these caps, just this week, University of California in Irvine.
That's great. But this week also, inflation went up 3.8% across the country. Your own data in terms of analyzing this rulemaking process actually showed that for nurse anesthetists, at least 28% of them who are in education right now have costs that exceed the caps. Nurse practitioners, 23%, and family practice nurses by 22.6%. This is from your own department. So you didn't even listen to your own people and staff in terms of what cohort of nurses are going to be excluded because of these caps and who are going to have higher borrowing costs if they want to complete their degrees. Or yield back, Mr. Chair.
And here's what Senator Kaine, Democratic senator from Virginia, has to say about, it's very bizarre that this regime, you're hiding a bunch of kind of critical stuff from us when it comes to, when it comes to the war, when it comes to, we've never had this hidden from us before. What is it that you're hiding? Here, play this clip.
Admiral Cooper, and to my colleagues on the committee, here's something that's pretty amazing that we shouldn't settle for. The administration is refusing to allow members of this committee to see the OLC opinion stating the legal case for war. We've always had the ability. We're armed services members. We're being asked to fund a $1.5 trillion budget, but our request to the DOJ to see the OLC opinion justifying this war, they have refused to allow members of the Armed Services Committee to see it. U.S. senators, appropriators, we're not allowed to see it. What are they hiding? If they will not allow us to see the legal rationale for the war, what are they hiding? And Mr. Charles just conclude and say, I hope we might, as a committee, whatever our agreements about the wisdom or the legality of the war, I hope we might, as a committee, agree that we should at least, in a classified setting, be able to read the legal opinion upon which this entire 76-day war is based. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And then you have Pete Hegseth out there making videos of him. Like Trump, they don't care about transparency. They just care about propaganda. So while you have all of this going on, you then had Hegseth cutting propaganda videos. Here's what Hegseth made. Let's play it.
Despite what you might hear in the media, America is not in decline. We remain the strongest military power on earth, but that power requires renewal. And with global threats that are constantly evolving, it's time to make a $1.5 trillion investment, a generational down payment.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thank you all so much for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.